tell me how the ovation got you, man, because that was surreal.
Yeah, it was. It was like when you walk into an environment where you feel relaxed and at home. Whether it's on the beach, you jump in the pool and you feel like it's exactly what you need. And I think that's what that moment was like for me, because I dreaded it my first game back when I came back. And then obviously I got booed, and then not knowing how I was going to be received coming back into the building like that. It was a great moment. Not only for me and the people that have been fans of mine for my career, but just for Celtic fans, because we can't, as much as we live in the past, you talk about your glory years and the things, people remember those days, the games, the heartache, the celebrations that we had. The only thing, what joins us, what binds us, is that we stick together, and we always, no matter where we end up going, we always remember who we are, and nothing changes. We're always Celtics, no matter what.
It seemed like when Kevin Garnett stopped and recognized you, the whole place just held their breath, and then it would just exhale, and it was just such a great moment. And when you went out to him, and everybody said, well, they planned that. I said, no, that was just something that Kevin said, and Ray got up, and it was so cool.
Yeah, it reminded me when I broke Reggie's record there in the Garden. And before the game, I was asking Reggie, what am I supposed to do? How is this supposed to go down? There's no template. You guys basically stirred the narrative. Whatever you do. And because this is not something that happens every day. And I believe that was the same case with Kevin. Kevin is so emotional. You don't know where he's going to go with what it is that he's doing, what he's saying. And I didn't expect him to say anything to me. I don't even think he knew I was going to be there until he walked out on the floor and he saw us. And I just think that it happened the way it was supposed to happen. It was organic. I think for the Celtics, the organization, they couldn't have asked for anything better, because you can't, when you talk about the organization, players come and go. At the end of the day, when you look up and you talk about games, they're all past players. And that's kind of where you hang your hat. And for kids that look up to, the Celtics and all over the world, and when you walk into that building and you see banners, you talk about past games and past players. And it's paramount for us to always be able to walk into that building and just say, man, we had a great run, didn't we? And then see some of the old faces in the crowd that still come to games, and just celebrate them as well as they celebrate us.
And then when he said, Ray, you next, boy. And it was like so cool, because I've been beating these drums forever, talking about Ray Allen and where his number was going to be retired. Do you feel that? Do you want that?
Well, firstly, Paul is, he's been great this whole time. Over the last couple of years, he's been always making sure, hey, you got to do this, you got to talk to this guy, because you could tell he's had that sense of it's water under the bridge. We got to go ahead and move forward. What do we, what's the issue, for us? Just thinking about that moment, it only seemed right that he was in it because he had been, working tirelessly behind the scenes to make sure that, I think he's working more on Kevin's behalf. And I seen him a couple of years back in China, and we met in fences there. So it was a little comical when Paul ran out there.
A little?
Yeah. But I think for the people who, it was emotional for them, because, that's like, all those videos you see when the soldiers come home and their children see them, and you're like, you just think about what you see is people as you've kind of traveled through their lives with them on their missions of their ups and downs, and then you see them come together and just kind of mend their fences, it is emotional. It's an emotional situation. You feel like, man, I need to go hug my mom or my dad or my kids. And so I think that's what that moment was. And I think for the people to see that, it was another moment, I think, in Celtic history to say, hey, I remember that moment when. And that's what makes, I think, this fan base so incredible, because you're talking about generation after generation of fans that grew up, in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and seeing basketball at its best and seeing great players, And so even the ups and downs, through the downs, I should say. And then a moment like that, when you're talking about these great players, these people that are still in the building watched us play. So when you're seeing your jerseys retired, these people are actually sharing stories of what it was like watching those games and, big games that player had or the team had. And so it's a real connection, I think, that the people in Boston have with the Celtics.